Alright, to fix this to match the other one, literally all I have to do is delete this dimension, go into your regular constraints, and constrain this line to my datum line, which sometimes is a real pain because no matter where I go to try and grab this line, that number is in my way. So sometimes it's a struggle getting through that. But you see, look how close I was when I came up with that. I'm at 59. And it's supposed to be at 60 degrees was what I was aiming for. I click over here, I double click on this one, and I do 60. And then you just change the values to match whatever you're supposed to have. I've got 1, 2, 3. Oh, I just happened to do this perfect. 1.5, 3.5. But if the point is, if it was not the same number, you just double click it and edit to whatever value you want. Okay, so see this one's 1.5 and this is 7.5 and this is 2. See, this one here should have been 2. This one here should have been 7.5. And this one here should have been 1.5. So you just, once you create your constraints, you just dimension it to the way you want it to be. All right, I'm going to undo all the way back out of this. So this was my part. And then I auto-constrained it, but it doesn't do angles. So when you're using auto-constraint, always stick in your angles first. If you know you want to control an angle, get your constraint that represents the angle. Don't even change the value. Just put something that represents the angle. Now when I go to auto-constrain and highlight this profile and reference this element here and this element here and stack dimension it, it does everything almost perfect. But it didn't give me my overall width. See, I got the 6.5 here, but it doesn't give me my overall width. Let me try something. I'm going to undo. Normally, if I put on a constraint that represents any angles and constraints that go to a point, it oftentimes will work around that. Now, I should have grabbed the point first, because when I'm going to try and grab this corner, sometimes I get lucky and it takes it, sometimes I don't. So that was 1.5, but I'm not going to change anything. With those two dimensions, a dimension to a point or constraint to a point and angle constraint, oftentimes that's all I need to do, and when I auto constrain it, it works out perfect. So we'll reference these two lines again and stack dimension. Of course, now that I'm demoing it, didn't work. So it's not a big deal. Again, the first thing I do is establish this line and this line with an anchor, just to double check it, make sure it's fully constrained. Once I know it's fully constrained, I can go back to sketch. Then you can move all these dimensions around. This is the dimension I don't want. This one here. You'll notice on the other one I don't have that dimension. What I have is a 7.5 dimension in place of that. So if that's the case, you just delete it and throw in the constraint that represents the bottom. And you see when I delete that and add that, it turns green because it's telling me it's fully constrained. And I'm verifying it that it's fully constrained here in the analysis. All right, then I can move all the dimensions out and so on. This dimension here is correct. I should start from the inside out. And you want to move this out as if you're doing a drawing. So you're going to grab these dimensions and move them off. And then all I would have to do, again, is edit the value to match the drawing. Should have grabbed that one first. Okay. I'll move this one just off there. On a drawing, this has to be off the part. You could leave it here on the sketch. That wouldn't matter. And then again, if you look at the finished product, the overall width is 7.5 and 1.5 inches. And so it's 2, 7.5, 1.5. That's all I had to do to make it match this part over here. Okay, so I double check all my numbers and they all seem to match up, so we are good to go. Next on my list is to show you problems if I constrain it or build it a certain way. So watch the next video to see other problems.